Hi, I'm Chelly Wood. You might know me from chellywood.com. This is my tiny sewing room where I make doll clothes sewing videos. Today, I'm going to show you how to make a basic shirt with bias tape sleeves, which will fit 11-inch fashion dolls like this Queens of Africa doll. But before we begin, please go to chellywood.com to download this free printable sewing pattern and use the pattern to cut out these 3 pieces. You will need 1/4 inch, which is 6mm bias tape as well. If you need help applying bias tape, I have a tutorial. Just look in the links below this video on YouTube to find that tutorial to help you. Now this pattern calls for darts. Use the pattern to mark your darts with a fabric pin. Sew the darts on both backs and the front, just like you see on the pattern. Lay one of the bodice backs on top of the bodice front, keeping the right sides together, which means the bright side of the fabric touches the bright side of the fabric like you see here. Stitch across the shoulder area. Follow the same directions for the other back. Your finished seams should look like this. Open the bodice up, like you see here, and press each shoulder seam open. Add bias tape to each arm area. I usually keep my bias tape attached to the spool until I've completed my stitches, then I cut it off. Here are the basic steps for sewing bias tape. So once again, I do have a video in the description below this video on YouTube, another tutorial that goes into greater detail on bias tape. But basically, you just open it up because this is a folded bias tape. And when I fold it over the edge, I like to incorporate a little bit of the fabric. When I insert my needle and thread, I try to put it through the bias tape so that the knot is stuck in the bias tape, not the fabric. It kind of hides the knot nicely. And then I begin to whip stitch. So you'll see me doing that here. This is the whip stitch. If you need a little help with the whip stitch, I also have a tutorial for that, and you'll want to look in the description below this video on YouTube if you need help with the whip stitch for that whip stitch tutorial. So you attach bias tape around where the armholes would be and follow these steps for both arm areas. And now you have a couple of options you can do for that very next step. First option, it's possible to attach bias tape to the neck right now. And I would recommend that if you intend to hem the back closure area and the very bottom of the shirt, which is one option. Now for the other option, and here I am doing the attaching of bias tape to the neckline, and it's very much like we just did with the sleeve areas with whip stitch. Notice how I close off that end. I'll go into detail on that later in the video. Okay, option 2, instead of hemming the back and bottom part of this particular shirt, I intend to attach bias tape all around these edges. So instead of attaching bias tape at just the neck, and then hemming, I will fold one back against the front without attaching any bias tape to the neck, and I will stitch from the underarm to the bottom of the shirt, like you see there, and I'll do this on both sides of the shirt. Now the shirt should look like this. Open the shirt up and press the side seams. If you did attach bias tape to the neck, now's the time to hem it. Invert the shirt. I love how it looks when you invert it. The sleeve kind of pops a little because of the bias tape, which is really cute. Okay, now this is option 2. So what we're going to do is attach bias tape to the back closure area, the neck, and the bottom of the shirt. You might be wondering, as you see me working on this, when you get to the very end of the bias tape, how do you close off that final edge neatly? And you did see that in the earlier clip, but here's a quick video to show you how I do that. Okay, so you take the end of the bias tape and you fold it in on itself. You want it to be exactly the same length as the side of the garment, and then you continue to whip stitch just like you did before. Whip stitch the bias tape to the garment and whip stitch the nub on the end. We're almost done. We're going to attach snaps or Velcro to the back closure area and try it on a doll. For more free printable sewing patterns to fit dolls of many shapes and all different sizes, please visit my website, chellywood.com. And once again, that's a Queens of Africa doll. You can learn more about them in the description. Well, that's all you have for today. Thanks for watching. If you like my videos and free patterns, please share them on your favorite social media platforms. It actually helps my website grow if you spread the word. Goodbye.